My name is Katherine Blake. I'm a detective. For 12 years, I've looked into the darkest parts of countless people. But I've never encountered anyone quite like the man I met that night. It was a night so bizarre it would never make the records, so terrifying it would haunt my dreams. I'd spent all day tracking a case on the mountain roads. It was past midnight when I was driving along a winding road through the forest and was startled by a figure looming in front of me. A man was standing on the side of the road, waving me down. I squinted and looked more closely. He was wearing a black suit, he was clean-cut, but something seemed off. It wasn't raining that night, but his jacket was damp, as if it had been drenched. In that moment, my instincts warred with my logic. What if I'd left him there in that desolate road? But as a detective, I've always been good at reading people's faces. There was something in this man's eyes, weariness, pain, but also the dark melody of secrets. I rolled down my window. "Do you need help?" I asked. He nodded slightly, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Yes. I'm stranded. It's hard to find a ride around here this late. Could you give me a lift into town?" There was no threat in his words, but there was something that made my skin crawl, something that kept me from thinking clearly. Yet, he didn't seem like someone who would harm me. I opened the door. "Get in," I said. He slid into the back seat quietly. "My name is Jack," he said. As we drove, I watched him in the rearview mirror. Jack Harlow. A simple name, but his voice was deep, each word leaving a mark. Conversation was slow. I asked where he was from. He said he had lived in New York for a while, but had run away. He didn't give many details, but as he spoke, I noticed something odd: his hands. They were large, almost too big for his frame, and he seemed to want to hide them. "Why are you out here at this hour?" I asked. "I'm running," he said quietly. His voice was neither threatening nor sad. His eyes were fixed on the rearview mirror. "From what?" I asked, my voice slipping into the tone of a detective. But he just chuckled with a strange coolness. "Maybe from myself." There was a long silence. So long that it felt like the air had grown colder. His reflection in the mirror intrigued me more and more. The silence was deafening. As we drove, my eyes kept darting to the rearview mirror. At one point, Jack leaned his head against the car window and closed his eyes. But it wasn't a sign of relaxation, more like a state of alert. Then, my phone buzzed in my pocket, startling me. It was an alert: a dangerous criminal escaped from a mental institution. "His name is Jack Harlow. Be cautious." My blood ran cold. The man in the back seat, his name was Jack Harlow. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I watched him through the side mirror. Had he noticed? I didn't know. "Are you all right?" he asked suddenly, his voice soft but alert. "Yes," I said quickly. "Just a little tired." I decided to take the nearest police station, without alarming him. But there was a fork in the road ahead. When I saw the sign for the police station, I knew Jack had seen it too. "Taking a detour?" he asked. "I know a shorter way," I lied. But his eyes narrowed, and a chill ran down my spine. "Don't lie to me, Katherine," he said. I hadn't told him my name. I slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt. I turned to face him, my gun drawn. "Don't move," I said, my voice trembling slightly, but he remained calm. "What are you going to do?" "Shoot me?" he asked with a sneer. "The police are on their way," I said. "Just stay here." He squinted. "Maybe you should have called them before I got in your car," he said, then he opened the door and ran. I jumped out after him, but he disappeared into the darkness of the forest. My heart pounded in my chest. That night, I had glimpsed into the darkness of Jack Harlow's world, and it was terrifying. I've had nightmares about Jack Harlow ever since. I know he's out there, somewhere in the woods, and one day, our paths will cross again. Because when our paths crossed that night, it was only the beginning.
Jack may be here, maybe right next to you.